Today we're going to talk about something incredibly serious, often overlooked, and very, very real. False accusations of sexual assault, rape, and abuse against men. This isn't about discrediting genuine victims. It's about recognizing that false allegations do happen, and when they do, the consequences can be absolutely life-shattering. Careers destroyed, reputations ruined, and in some cases, lives even lost. So let's break down the facts, real cases, and what this means for justice. One accusation can change everything. It can get someone fired, expelled, disowned, or canceled in the matter of minutes. Even if that person is proven innocent, the stigma always sticks. Take the case of Brian Banks. He was a promising football player who spent 5 years in prison for a rape he didn't commit. His accuser later admitted she lied, but by then, his career, time, and youth were gone. Now, let's bring it to the internet age. We saw something similar happen with creators like Tectone. In mid-2024, vague and cryptic posts on social media implied serious misconduct, without naming him directly. But the community connected the dots, and suddenly Tectone was being dogpiled. No accusations were ever formally made, no legal complaint was filed, just vibes and viral drama. Still, it forced him to issue statements, take mental health breaks, and publicly defend himself against something that was never actually stated. Same with the recent issue with Corey X. Kenshin. In his case, the implications weren't even about abuse, but he's been subject to waves of conspiracies and false accusations around sexual misconduct, none of which were backed by any credible source. A few misleading tweets and edited clips were enough to spark outrage and distrust. For someone who's known for being a wholesome figure online, the backlash was jarring and clearly distressing for him. What's worse is how quickly people online will rush to judgment. On Twitter, the second a trending accusation starts circulating, users jump in with hot takes and condemnation, often without reading beyond the headline. But once more information comes to light, the tweets disappear. No apology, no retraction, just quiet deletions and locked accounts. During the Corey situation, over half of the tweets calling him out were deleted by the end of the night. The phrase innocent until proven guilty doesn't always apply in the court of public opinion. In fact, in some cases, it feels like the guilt is assumed the moment an accusation is made, or worse, even when someone just sends out a tweet. Let's look at the numbers. Studies from the FBI and academic sources consistently show that the rate of false sexual allegations sits somewhere between 2 and 10%. A 2010 study by David Lysak examined 10 years of sexual assault reports and found a 5.9% false report rate. Now, 5% might sound small, but let's put it into perspective. In the US alone, hundreds of thousands of sexual assaults are reported every single year. Even if just 5% are false, that could be tens of thousands of people falsely accused annually. And we're not talking about gray areas or misunderstandings. We're talking about cases where it was literally proven that the assault never happened. The number spikes even more significantly when you take into account those that never had any proof one way or the other. A false accusation doesn't just put a pause on someone's life, it can literally destroy it. People have lost jobs, been kicked out of school, saw their families fall apart, and some have even taken their own lives. Even the implication of wrongdoing online can spiral out of control. Once the internet decides someone is guilty, there's little room for context, correction, or even compassion. Content creators like Tectone, who have been forced to explain himself hundreds and hundreds of times in front of millions of people, often face targeted harassment, brand damage, and even just personal crises, even in the absence of a single verified allegation. It's not even just a matter of losing income or followers. It's losing your identity in front of people who used to support you. And the mental health consequences are severe. Depression, PTSD, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. These are real documented outcomes of false or misrepresented accusations. A 2020 systematic literature review found that the psychological effects of being falsely accused often included identity erosion, long-term trauma, social isolation, and suicidal ideation. These effects often persist long after exoneration. Consider the story of Richard Jewell, wrongly suspected in the 1996 Atlanta bombing. Though never charged, the media storm destroyed his life and health. He died at 44 from heart failure after years of stress-related complications. And it's not just public figures. John, a then 21-year-old student falsely accused on campus at the college I went to, said, "It was like everyone looked at me differently overnight. Even when the university cleared me, the damage was done. My friends disappeared. I still get panic attacks when I walk past certain buildings. An anonymous source close to me, another man, was falsely accused during a custody battle. He shared, "She said I was abusive, and I lost everything. My kids, my job, my house." Eventually, she admitted it wasn't true, but a court of public opinion didn't matter. Studies show that being falsely accused can lead to severe psychological trauma, and that trauma just doesn't disappear when the truth comes out. In some cases, even after being found innocent, people struggle to rebuild. Employers still hesitate. Friends stay distant. The label sticks. False accusation victims often don't get justice. Few false accusers even actually face legal consequences. This adds another layer of betrayal and helplessness. So why do people lie about this? There are a few reasons. Revenge, covering up other behavior, gaining an upper hand in custody or divorce cases, and in a lot of cases on the internet, attention seeking. In the age of social media, clout can be a powerful motivator. Some people make false accusations online simply to go viral, gain followers, or insert themselves into trending topics. The incentive to fabricate drama for digital currency, likes, retweets, and sympathy, has never been higher than it is in 2025. There's also nuance that gets lost in intimate relationships. Some individuals engage in consensual but rough sexual activity, BDSM, or other kinks, and later, if emotions shift, breakups happen, or reputations are at stake, they might retroactively claim it was non-consensual. This is extremely dangerous, and consent is complex, and communication matters, but distorting it after the fact can absolutely ruin lives. It's critical to distinguish between regretting a consensual act and falsely labeling it as abuse. We've seen anonymous accounts suddenly blow up overnight after hinting at a vague expose or telling a one-sided story with no evidence. By the time facts comes out, the damage is already done, and the internet has sadly moved on. It's uncomfortable to talk about, but pretending it never happens doesn't help anyone. In fact, it makes it harder for real victims to be believed, because every false case casts doubt on legitimate ones. We have to be honest about all sides of the issue. And personally, I believe if someone knowingly makes a false accusation, especially one that ruins a person's life, they should face the same level of punishment as the crime they falsely accused. That's not vengeance, that's fairness. That's accountability. At the end of the day, this isn't about picking sides. It's about protecting the truth. Every accusation should be taken seriously, but so should the idea of due process, even when it comes to public opinion. We need investigations, not instant judgments. We need protections for victims and the falsely accused. And when someone lies about something this serious, there should be real and significant consequences, just like there are for those falsely accused. At this point, I know a lot of you behind the screens are screaming, just sue them. But it's not that simple. While defamation and libel laws do exist, winning a case is incredibly difficult, especially in cases involving implied accusations or vague online claims. If someone spreads a damaging rumor without directly naming you, or they frame it as an opinion instead of a statement of fact, they can often avoid legal consequences altogether. Even if a case does manage to go forward, the legal process can take years. It's emotionally exhausting and financially draining. The accused has to prove actual malice, reputational damage, and often overcome social bias baked into the system. Meanwhile, the accuser can walk away untouched, sometimes even gaining more support in the process. So while suing sounds like a clean solution, the reality is that the legal system doesn't move fast. And during that time, the accused still has to live with the damage, the suspicion, and the ongoing public backlash. This is why prevention and accountability in the public arena matter, because even if justice eventually comes, it always comes far, far too late. False accusations are real. So are real assaults. And we can care about both. And we should. The justice system and online discourse should be about facts, not feelings. Let's stop letting outrage override the truth. I'm tired of seeing men's lives and careers ruined by false claims. It's time we wake up. We all need to do better.